Before we determine our campaign objectives, we need to first understand the product or service metrics. Now, we capture these in the Lean Canvas under the key metrics section, and these are the key numbers that tell you how your product or service is doing in a larger business context. As such, they're often dictated by the business, and though they're not directly related to the email campaign, they definitely influence what you do in the campaign. So as an example, for the Dyson vacuum cleaner, on average we sell 3,000 per month, and we have 100K database size. The key metric and objective of any email campaign is ROI, or return on investment. ROI is the key metric because without it, marketing has no purpose. It answers the question, did we make money? And that in turn answers the question, is it even worth doing this campaign in the first place, or are we just wasting time? To understand if a campaign is worth doing, we need to consider 4 points. What is a conversion worth? So that could be what a lead is worth if you're in a B2B context, and this would be supplied by sales. It could be the average value of a customer or some other way they measure the value of a lead. In a B2C context, like the Dyson vacuum cleaner, it's much simpler. It's simply the value of a purchase. How much is the campaign going to cost? So it's important we incorporate not only media and agency costs, but also internal labor, which is often forgotten by companies. From these 2 questions, we can then determine how many conversions do we need to generate. And the last point to consider is, with our database size and historical results, is that result even possible or likely? Let's do an example of this with the Dyson vacuum cleaner. First thing is the conversion value, which is very simple. It's the price of a vacuum bought on the Dyson site, which is $800. The next part is the campaign cost. So in this case, it's $12,000, which is $2,000 of creative plus internal labor costs of $10,000. So all up, $12K. Now for this particular campaign, we're aiming for an ROI of 400%. So that's in brackets there, ROI 400%. That means we need to create 4 times more sales than the campaign cost us. Now to calculate that, what we do is we take the campaign cost, $12,000, we multiply that by 4 because we want an ROI of 400%, and then that gives us the total value we need to generate through this campaign, which is $48,000 of vacuum sales. Now that total figure, we then divide it by the cost of 1 conversion, or 1 vacuum, which is $800, and then we get 60. So that means we need to generate 60 sales of a Dyson vacuum cleaner from this email campaign to reach our target of a 400% ROI. And then the last part we need to consider is, what is the conversion rate on our database? We're doing an email campaign, we have a 100K database. To get 60 conversions from 100K, we need a conversion rate 0.06%. Now remember, conversion is not click-through. It's actually buying the vacuum cleaner, not necessarily just clicking on an email. Setting a schedule is key in the planning phase of an email campaign. You need to know when the planning is going to commence, when the live send is going to go out, and also any critical junction points, which for an email campaign is the live send test. This is where we do a limited email send to live customers, but before we do the full live send. So these are the 3 critical points you need to set as part of your schedule before going into more detailed planning. Once you've set your key dates, you can then work backwards and determine the key activities you need to do and what deadlines you need for those key activities. Now, you don't need a project plan for every email campaign you send out. However, you should have some kind of schedule like this so that you can stay on track to deliver the objectives you need by the time you need.